Hello, welcome to Sideways. Yes, you're right, that was a car. I forgot to record this introduction on my more nature-filled walk, and I'm now perambulating through an urban environment. You can probably hear the dog panting. Anyway, welcome to this week's episode. We're talking this week about how we tend, or some of us, tend to take our foot off the gas when we feel as if the effort that we're expending is either unnecessary or our lack of effort won't be noticed. In addition to that, we're talking about a fondness for eating strange things, remixing hymns, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and sitting on explosives and turning up in A&E. So a mixed bag, as per. What else have I got to tell you? Yeah, I need to get a little bit better at self-promotion, so don't forget to check out my newsletter at substack.com. If you go to substack.com and search on my name, you'll find a whole host of my writing on topics that might sometimes overlap with Sideways, but quite often don't. So a rich tapestry of information there. And I think that's it. It's going to be an absolute scorcher today. So I'm going to get back home, batten down the hatches, and I'll wish you all a very pleasant bank holiday weekend if you happen to be in the UK. God, cars are really annoying, aren't they? Social loafing. There we are. You've got a blurred background this morning.
I have got a blurred background. I was trying to upload one, but it's I couldn't find a suitable one really.
Well, what was it all? What was it then? What were you what were you finding that you declared unsuitable?
It was the view from where I sit and eat my lunch at work across the fields.
That sounds quite nice.
Yeah, it is, but it wouldn't rotate properly.
You should have just taken a picture of what you're eating for lunch and put that up.
Yeah, like people do on social networks, social media.
Social media. What might be a typical lunch for you at work?
I just tend to eat quite light at work. So I'd have some crisps, have a banana, an apple, nice. Maybe a bit of chocolate. Yeah.
Balanced meal then.
Just to get me through till I get home, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can really push the boat out.
Yeah, well, we only get half an hour, and sometimes you don't get a chance at all. So, it's just that you graze often while you're going along. So can I just check? Is my sound okay?
Well, I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah,
you can't read sound until you go to edit it.
No, it's difficult to know until I edit it. You've not been happy with it, have you? I can tell.
No, I haven't. No. Well, I've got both mics on now, and I've got them propped up. So it'd be interesting to see how it comes out, but you can't tell at the moment. That's what you're saying.
I can't tell at the moment. What we need is a professional sound engineer in here. It won't be long before you start blaming me for the quality of your sound. I know it's coming.
I'll leave that on the back burner.
Yeah. Anyway, never mind that.
We'll go on to what we was going to talk about then.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Yeah,
I did send you an idea.
Yeah, about 6 weeks ago it was, wasn't
it? We're a week late, aren't we, in doing this recording?
We are, and I'm not going to give you a hard time because I think we had to cancel because you had quite a hefty work weekend, didn't you, last week?
I did, and I'll touch on that later on, actually.
Right, okay, good.
This one is what we're talking about. It's another one of those episodes where I come across a term that I like the sound of, but I don't know anything about.
Okay.
And the term is social loafing. Once I've done the research, it's something that I recognise when I'm running groups at work, especially if it's like a hands-on exercise where everyone has the opportunity to chip in.
Yeah.
And we did one this week, in fact, where we're in little teams. They were doing building a bridge just out of straws, marshmallows. Okay,
Yeah.
and they had to make it high enough and sturdy enough for a toddler, effectively, to walk underneath it. So,
right. Okay.
And it's quite a good social experiment. You see who does socially loaf. You can see who become who are natural leaders, etc., etc.
Yeah. I mean, I know quite a lot about loaves.
Loaves.
But that's perhaps where although I think it is quite an interesting subject. It's one of those ones where you suggested it. I thought, think I can probably guess what that's about.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
It is really. It's just looking at the nuances of it, really. But before we start, a couple of things that caught my eye.
Yeah.
The first one was a hospital. They had to call in the bomb squad. Okay. In A&E department initially, where a man arrived.
Yeah.
With a World War I shell stuck up his nether regions. Now, you come across this. I mean, it's quite.
That just gets worse and worse. That story, doesn't it, from the start?
Well, doctors confirmed that the antique explosive was real, but thankfully it was inactive. But the removal operation involved both surgeon and explosive experts.
Wow, Danger UXB. I wonder how many of them had ever been involved in ensuring that a bomb was safe, stuck inside someone's rectum.
Well, quite. It's probably a first for everyone concerned.
Yeah.
But I know A&E do have quite a lot of these sort of people turning up.
Do they?
With various things. Not
people with bombs up their arse.
Not bombs, but all sorts of objects. But I think
This was what you mean.
A first for a World War I shell.
Right. Well, I mean, it's easily done, isn't it?
Well, I can imagine him trying to explain it.
Yeah. I expect he said, well, it was in my shed and I sort of stumbled backwards when I was changing my trousers. I mean, you can, I don't know, I suppose that would be quite tricky, wouldn't it, to create a reasonable backstory?
Yeah, I don't think
the pun.
I don't think any of the nurses or doctors that are doing the operation there would have fallen for it. They probably heard so many different stories in the past. They just know the guy had just done it for some sort of kick.
Yeah, see what it's like. I mean,
see what it's like.
If you saw an antique shell, it would cross your mind, wouldn't it?
It would cross your mind.
Bound to. Yeah. What would it be like to sit on that? You'd think, wouldn't you?
Not normally, but it does go through some people's minds, obviously.
I mean, I can remember back to when we were kids. It was quite uncomfortable if you had to sit on the saddle of a racing bike for too long. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a World War II shell is that's beyond the pale, isn't it?
It is really. But I'll move on to the second story, which is the headline was a TikTok trend of eating mini clay pots raises health concerns. Okay, now we see these crazes come and go, don't we?
Yeah.
And people are apparently making little clay pots and then eating them, steaming them down.
Okay, I've got a question.
Go on.
Why?
Well, that's I think that is a question that won't ever be answered.
I don't really. I mean, maybe I'm just getting old, but where's that come from? I mean, make a little clay pot and then eat it. What's that about?
I don't know. We had that craze about eating the pods that you put in your washing machine, didn't you? With the
really,
I
missed that one as well.
But they come and go, don't they? But experts were saying that the cravings are often linked to a condition called pica, P-I-C-A,
right,
which causes people to crave non-food items such as dirt.
Okay. All right. So,
well, it happens like in pregnancy, doesn't it? Where, perhaps the pregnant person craves cold, for example. I think it's a traditional one, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So have you ever had any of these kind of strange likings? Because I can think of two that I've had in my life.
Okay. Well, I remember at school we used to eat the glue, the pops
The PVA glue stuff.
Yeah.
But
Which was
it
quite
smelled
funny.
nice, didn't it? It smelled like almonds.
Yeah, it did. Sort of marzipan-y sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
I remember that. But the only craving I get for I like soft leather. Is one.
Right. Chewing it or eating it?
Yeah, well, not eating it, but chewing it. You know, I get the urge to do that. If you feel a really lovely soft leather jacket, I want to eat it. I want to chew it. What about
I've got the ick.
Hey?
I've got the ick now. Right, so the two that I can remember from childhood, that's an interesting one, that leather one. I've never had that liking for soft leather, but I can certainly remember some interest in sort of chewing a leather bootlace.
Oh, okay.
Something about that sort of, I don't know. But just going back to the glue for a second, there are a lot of those things, aren't there, where the smell of something makes you think it's going to taste much better than it actually does.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I'll give you Parma violets. And roast parsnips in school dinners. They looked amazing, smelt nice, but tasted disgusting. Anyway, the two things that I can remember as a child, I used to routinely eat candle wax.
Did you? Oh yeah.
So I used to like putting my fingers in the wax, and then it would sort of solidify on your fingers, and then I quite like to eat the wax off my fingers.
I think I remember you doing that back in when we were in our early drinking days. We'd go into a pub, and if it had maybe the minstrel.
The minstrel, bound to be, yeah.
And you would start eating the candle wax then. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, so I like that. But before that, and this one's going to see if anyone's eating, you might want to sort of pause for a second here. But when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember, but if you bought kidneys from the butcher, they would be quite often you buy them. They'd be encased in the kidney fat round them. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Okay,
no.
So it's very white. It's like lard.
Okay.
And so if I was sitting at the kitchen table and my mum was preparing kidneys for dinner, I quite like to eat the lard. And I used to think, oh, this smells a bit funny. And of course, what it was smelling of was piss.
Yeah.
So I quite liked eating pissy fat when I was.
That is quite close to food because the kidney was going to be eaten. I can see.
Yeah, but it tasted more like wax actually when I think about it. So maybe I had that kind of fondness for that sort of texture.
Yeah.
Well, we really have gone off on a tangent this morning.
We have. We'll get back onto social loafing.
That's been an interesting one. That's a very enjoyable one. That's going to make me think about other strange things that I've enjoyed eating. Yeah, because I bet there would be a lot of them for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to it at another stage and at a later date.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, maybe we'll get an episode out of it.
We might do an episode, or you and I might just have a chat, have a little list, put a spreadsheet together.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Social loafing. You're right. Explained simply, it's the tendency for people to put in less effort when working in a group rather than working alone. The classic definition is where people exert less individual effort on a task when their contributions are not individually identifiable. The concept was first demonstrated by French engineer Max Ringelmann, who found that people pulled a rope less hard in a group than when pulling alone. I'm assuming you may be referring to tug of war or something. I
haven't done that for a long time.
No.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go through when this tends to happen, a bit of social loafing. It happens when there is a diffusion of responsibility. If others are helping, I don't need to work quite as hard.
Yeah.
Or where there's a lack of accountability. So when no one can see exactly what I've contributed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or perceived dispensability, like feeling like your effort won't make a difference.
Right, okay.
Come in there. Or low motivation. I think this is one which I sort of related to perhaps a little bit, where the task is boring or unimportant or unclear, and the effort drops further in a group. And for me, that came, I remember when I was doing this research, like I remember that, I don't know if you've ever done an escape room.
Yeah, I have.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah, once. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
Did I enjoy it? I certainly didn't feel as excited about it as some people got.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a horrible experience, but it was, it was all right. Yeah, what were you going to say then about your experience of it?
My experience, I went and did it with some people that had done them before.
Right.
Knew what was going on and knew how to attack it. And I just felt like a complete spare part.
Right,
They're just steaming and looking for bits and pieces. And I found it almost from the start, I felt, I'm not integrating it. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this is much fun. And then when you realise there's a time limit on it as well, where you had to, to get a certificate or something, it had to be done within a certain time. And I started to find that a bit stressy.
Yeah.
So no, the whole experience, I didn't enjoy it. And I felt like I socially loafed. I just let other people take the strain on that one.
Well, this is quite interesting. And I don't know whether this came up in your research or whether it's kind of encompassed in the observations that you've made or are going to make. But I'd say that example, yeah, okay. So in terms of a strict definition, you might have socially loafed, but you were socially loafing because actually the other people in the group hadn't bothered to get you involved.
Maybe.
So there is something there about motivation, isn't there? You didn't really feel motivated because you didn't feel part of the team.
No, quite.
So I suppose if you're in a kind of group situation or a team situation and there isn't an effort on anybody else's part to kind of create some sort of cohesion in that team, then social loafing will almost certainly follow.
It does, but I felt like people were almost trying to flex their intellectual muscle. Look at me, I'm good.
People do, though, don't they, in those situations? Yeah. People want to, I can do this, and so it's kind of, I don't know what that is. That's kind of easy then to take a step back because that kind of jostling for position is a bit exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's most likely to occur because that was quite a small group of about 6 people. So you'd imagine there's less chance of social loafing. So it tends to occur in the larger groups. In the 20, 25 plus group, where it's very easy to go under the radar. And it happens most likely also when the tasks are where the individual output is difficult to measure. So again, you can hide it, or where there's low personal involvement or interest. Again, a bit like the escape room for me at that point. And if there's tasks, and again going back to the escape room, without clear roles, you can easily disappear, or where group members don't know or trust each other, which wasn't the case in that. Cause I went with family and friends, but if you don't know or trust each other, I'd imagine it would be, if you're in a big group, it would be easy to not engage fully.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this because I think this won't surprise you. I suspect one of the things that prevents me from socially loafing is that I want to be in control.
Right, okay, yeah.
And so I'm thinking, it's been a while since I've done a lot of kind of big group activity, but I suppose, I've done quite a lot of training in the past few years, which is big group stuff. You know how you're routinely put into breakout groups when you're training and stuff.
Yeah.
And you notice people socially loafing in those situations.
You do.
I cannot. It's like what happens in me, and I don't know if this is the same for you or the same for anybody listening, but my brain immediately goes to, we've got to present this back to the group. I don't want this to be shit.
Yeah.
And if no one's going to talk or get involved in this, I'm going to do it because I'm not prepared to go back in and to fear that other people are thinking, blimey, that was a load of rubbish, wasn't it? So there's something in me, which I suppose is about a kind of fear of judgment, that I think in most cases, there probably are exceptions, but in most cases would make me avoid socially loafing. I would probably find group situations like that sometimes quite stressful, but my anxiety about messing something up will probably override my desire to kind of sit back and not do anything. But probably the easiest situation in which I can socially loaf is when I'm on my own.
Well, yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because I relate to what you were saying there. If again we're doing training at work and you break off into small groups, I mean, invariably end up being the spokesperson for the group.
Yeah,
and I'm all right with that. I don't mind doing that. I don't mind feeding back because it's and again, it helps me to engage fully as well.
Yeah,
because I don't want it to go badly. You're right, absolutely.
I think, but that also is, I think, a double-edged sword, because in those situations, I then also become acutely aware of not wanting to seem sort of overzealous and controlling. And so I find myself sometimes in this strange situation where I'm thinking, well, I really want someone else to take the lead here. And I'm kind of willing it to happen, and no one's doing it. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to then, because going back to what I said before. So it's quite. I think it can be quite a kind of challenging situation. When I think back to corporate days, I suspect there was probably more situations where I'd find myself able to kind of socially loaf. But even then, there is that kind of anxiety about turning up with something not fully formed that I really can't tolerate.
No, I can relate to that. Yeah. And I think sometimes if you do take the lead, it's you always become a social loafing enabler for other people, don't you?
Yeah.
You can see, once you say, right, I'll do this, I'll present this, you can see people sort of physically relax. They sort of slump back in their chair and think, oh, that's all right then, that's good.
Yeah, I think there must be something there about what kind of motivates you as a person. Because I'm really racking my brains now to think of situations where I would be in a group and just take my foot off the gas, and it's quite difficult to think of any. Even in groups where I think, well, I'm not of the quality of some of these other people, I still can't. Like, I'm thinking of football, for example. Mostly when I've played football in my life, I've not been as good as the people that are playing with me. So, I think the impact of that tends to be anxiety about not messing stuff up, rather than thinking, oh, I'll just let everybody else do the work.
We'll come back to the football analogy later on, because there is a point I wanted to make on that. No, I mean, but social loafing, it can decrease or it can disappear entirely, which depending upon the environment. The environment tends to be where individual contributions can be identified. So everyone has to take a role in the task. Or again, if the task is personally meaningful, if you really engage properly with it. Or again, if it's a close-knit group, if a group of very close friends, and again, you feel more akin to the people around you. You don't want to let them down, so you get this motivation.
Definitely true, that one.
Or where there is a clear division of labour. So the roles are identified. You do this, you do that, and then you all come together, and there isn't a chance for social loafing so much then.
Yeah, I definitely feel happier in those situations when I'm very clear about what I'm supposed to do.
If it's clear, and if you think that the work matters, so what you're doing is actually contributing fully to the overall task. Or where the goals are shared, and when they are motivating, when they're motivating. So the overall task is the result you want motivates all of you to move in the right direction. Loafing seems to be less of an issue when that happens. Yeah,
there's a kind of sounds like there's a contrast then between situations where one might find oneself socially loafing, like you did in the escape room, and feeling uncomfortable about it, and other situations where you might find yourself socially loafing and you're kind of, that's all right, I'm not having to do much work. So I think there is a distinction there, isn't there? I'm struggling to think of a situation in which I would be socially loafing and comfortable with it.
Well, and it is quite tricky, because I was uncomfortable in the escape room. Because my relatives were there and friends, and it was I felt like I really wanted to, but I didn't in the end.
You were too stupid. It's basically
too stupid. It's too tough for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the first time you'd be in that situation, is it?
No, it's not. It won't be the last. But going back to Ringelmann, Max Ringelmann, guy who first did it. It was back in 1913, where he looked at people pulling harder alone than in groups with this rope pulling exercise. And he found within the experiment, you added some more people in.
Yeah.
Effort per person dropped as the group size increased. So the more people there, it's easier, I suppose. If you got 4 people or 3 people on a tug of war team, you've really all got to dig in, haven't you? But if there's 20, you can get away with it, can't you? You can sit in the middle and not work so hard.
I wonder if it makes any difference in the profile of the people that are added to the team. So if I was on a tug of war team and you put a couple of people on there, they're big, muscly individuals, I'd probably think, oh, that's good. I don't have to pull so hard now.
Yeah.
But if they weren't, I might feel opposite. Actually, I might feel I'm going to have to really dig in here.
Yeah.
No, maybe Ringelmann didn't extend his research to that sort of.
I don't think he did. He was just looking at the overall.
Well, he was a bit lax, wasn't he?
He was a little bit. It was 1913. They had other stuff on his mind.
Well, yeah, it was the advent of the war, wasn't it?
War was on its way.
Yeah.
There's
I mean, you can't expect a bloke to properly research tug of war with war on the horizon, can you?
You can't. You know, when the Nazis are starting to maraud across certain parts of Europe, you got to start to think of other things, haven't you?
Yeah. So come on, let's not berate him for that.
We were, but there was another experiment done.
Yeah. Okay.
This was done by 3 other people: Latane, Williams, and Harkins. Okay? Yeah,
it sounds like solicitors.
It does, doesn't it? That's exactly what I thought. Well, I don't know what they're involved in, but they did an experiment which was regarding clapping and shouting.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the experiments they did, it showed that people clapped and shouted less loudly.
Yeah.
When they believed they were in a group. And I was trying to
less loudly when they're in a group.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I was trying to relate it to, if you're on the terraces.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
At the football, if you can rely on other people perhaps cheering ladies down if you clap so loudly or shout.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's exactly the example I went to, and I don't think that would have made much difference to me, because I think if I was clapping or shouting, it would be because I was either pleased or angry.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure the presence of other people make a difference. I'll tell you where I can remember it making a difference. When I've been to my daughter's graduations.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, when she's being given her awards, I'm fulsome in my clapping.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any shouting. That would be wrong in Canterbury Cathedral.
It would,
But when you've got to look at everybody else getting their prizes and you're essentially clapping for about 2 hours.
Yeah, you are.
I definitely would be, I'm thinking everyone else is clapping. I don't really need to bother with this one. So that is an example, I guess, of my social loafing.
Yeah. No, I agree. But real life examples of social loafing overall that comes up, that certainly come up in the research, was school projects where one student ends up doing most of the work while others contribute less. And I think I can remember back to my school days when I know that's happened. Workplace teams that we've already touched on, where employees may hide in big teams and give less effort.
Yeah.
In sports, a player may slack off when thinking their teammates will cover for them.
What, so all of the West Ham team?
I was just going to come on to that. I was saying because we've all played in teams where people are a bit lazy.
Yeah.
And we see it at a professional level, which always amazes me when players don't track back, for example. They're known for not tracking. Yeah. They're trained athletes. They should be able to put an effort in for 90 minutes, and they don't.
Yeah.
It always annoys the hell out of me that people don't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, there are a lot of social loafers in professional football.
There are. And they seem to just work in bursts.
Yeah. But I've got a question though on that. Why did all of them sign for West Ham United?
They've been socially loafing all season, haven't they? There's no one to rely on.
It's weird. You're right about that though. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, they're professional athletes. There's no reason why they can't keep running for 90 minutes.
No.
Why do you not bother? I mean, that's poor, isn't it? And what impact must that have on the rest of your team? I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's frustrating.
It is, but we all know the term, is a luxury player. where someone's got a great touch but doesn't put a great deal of effort in. And it always amazes me that that they can get away with it.
Well, there's a kind of corporate equivalent, isn't there? You know, back in the corporate days, people would say, you know, if you had a choice, you're always better off employing someone with will than you are employing someone with skill.
Yeah.
Because you can teach someone.
Yeah.
You know, if they've got will.
Yeah.
But if they haven't got a will, it doesn't matter how good they are. You're never going to get anything much out of them because they'll be socially loafing all over the place.
They will be.
So what you want is a team of Kevin Keegans, really, don't you?
You do want people that are going to put a shift in.
Yeah, I'm showing my age using Kevin
You are,
Keegan. I thought, wasn't he regarded as someone who wasn't naturally talented, but he worked really hard at his game?
I think, he was. Yeah. I think perhaps someone like a Roy Keane as well.
Yeah.
A bit more up to date, but he would go from beginning to end.
I mean, even he's not that up to date, is he? So we're really laying our age on the line here.
We are. We ought to think of a current player who grafts the whole time.
Declan Rice.
He would be one, wouldn't he? I suppose. Yeah. So that's really it on that as far because it's just when anonymity is high, loafing increases.
Yeah.
But on a football pitch in front of 90,000 people, there is no anonymity, but people can still loaf.
Yeah.
But it generally follows that if there is anonymity.
I'll tell you where you see it. You experience a lot of people socially loafing. And this isn't something you would have experienced very much. But if you're in church, when people are singing hymns, there's always a lot of social loafing there, isn't it? I always used to think, I mean, I haven't been to church for a while, but I always used to think, God, it's quite depressing when there's a hymn and the only person you can hear singing is either the choir or the vicar. And nobody seems to want to kind of sing. It always used to frustrate me. I always used to think, I want to have a good sing here of this hymn that I know, or carols even. I mean, even then people wouldn't.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know how many times you've been to. The only times I ever go into a church is obviously a wedding or a funeral. Yeah. And then they choose hymns that I don't know. And that sort of annoys me because, I've got a good background. I used to go to church all the time as a kid. And then they choose hymns I don't know. Then I feel almost affronted and so almost socially loaf on purpose.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you don't want the deep cuts, do you? In the service, you want the hits. You want Onward Christian Soldiers, and
I do. I don't want B-sides.
No. Yeah, I suppose that's true. It can take a long time to build up a canon of hymnal knowledge, can't it?
It is, and as it was many years since I was a regular churchgoer.
Yeah.
Not only of the hymns, there's new hymns that are introduced, but some of the old ones they've changed the tunes to. I mean, what's all that about?
Well, actually, in a lot of cases, what's going on there is they've gone back to the original tune. And actually, we had a more modern tune for, if you remember assembly at school, we'd be singing hymns to modern tunes. But in church, you're quite often experiencing a return to the original. That's what's going on there. What you need to do is get yourself into church a bit more, learn a few more hymns.
I won't be doing that.
Because I know how much you like Jesus.
So basically, we're going back to we were involved in our day in like a cover version of the
they were cover versions. Yeah, they were. Yeah. They were like someone had taken the lyrics and kind of rewritten the tune. I suppose it's not even a cover version, is it really? It's a kind of reworking. Don't hear that these days, do you? You don't get someone take one of the Beatles songs and think, I'll just write a new tune to that.
You don't.
Wonder why that doesn't happen then.
I don't know. Perhaps they do. Well, you get a Stock Aitken and Waterman, put a different beat behind it, perhaps. Or
remix. That's what we were experiencing. We were expecting hymnal remixes.
We got there in the end.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's about me on all that. It's
very good. That was enjoyable. I don't. So I think, in conclusion, I don't think I'm a social loafer. Generally.
No, I don't think I am. But I was able to pick out times when I was.
Yeah.
But going back to I think it can change within that environment because I know that I've been, again, if you're playing in a football team and you're 4 or 5-0 down, you start to socially loaf. You start to lose motivation. So I think motivation is quite a big point in whether you socially loaf or not.
Yes, I think that's probably true. That's true, actually, because as I was saying earlier, my motivation probably comes from trying not to look like I'm useless.
Yeah.
And so I don't socially loaf.
So
right.
Should we go on to the conundrum feature?
Oh, I haven't got one. Forgotten.
Oh, okay. Have you got your list in front of you?
No, I haven't. Hang on.
You're ill prepared. You've been socially loafing when it comes to
I completely forgot about that. That's terrible. Okay, I've got one.
Oh, okay.
I just thought of one.
Okay.
I mean, it's a simple one, but
right.
So we've been talking here about the tendency to take your foot off the gas if you're in a group and you think, my contribution doesn't really matter. If you're in a group doing something, playing football, doing something at work, whatever, and you notice someone kind of completely taking their foot off the gas and letting go, and you recognise that the result of that is that you and your colleagues are having to make a bit more effort, would you call them out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I do tend to, and I'm going back to, again, football, playing for many years. I spent a number of years as captain of the team I was playing for. And I'll call them out all the time. Did it make
any difference?
You could. Well, you don't berate them. You just sort of try and motivate them to play.
So you wouldn't shout, "Stop being a lazy donkey."
No, you would. You'd use a better motivational technique than that. But I would.
Right. Okay. What about in the workplace? So you're doing something at work and you're thinking, and you're in a group and you're talking about something and someone's not showing any interest.
Yeah.
It might be a peer, which is kind of arguably slightly more sensitive. Would you call that out? And if so, how might you do it?
Yeah, I do. I would do that. Just say, come on, get this. What do you think?
So you kind of invite someone in, get them involved.
Exactly. Because I see it all the time when I'm running groups. You can see people's either their interest waning or they're not engaging, and you invite them in.
Lovely.
By questioning. So again, I'll do that in if it was a colleague.
Great. And final example. You're doing an escape room and one of your team members is a bit thick.
Okay.
And you think, he probably hasn't got the wherewithal to be able to help us in any of these tasks. Yeah. Would you let him flounder or would you try and get him involved?
Try and get him involved. I think I'd feel sorry for the person at that situation, especially if you're paid to go into an escape room. You'd like to think they'd get their money's worth as well. So try and invite him in, try and get him involved.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. I can remember there was a task in one of the escape rooms that I did where it involved kicking a football through a hole. So, you might have got that particular member of the team involved in that one, mightn't you?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't involve anything to do with their brain.
No, it's not intellectually challenging. No, true.
There you go. We got there in the end, didn't we?
We did. We struggled, but it was all right. I think it worked out fine.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't socially loaf, did I?
You didn't.
Pulled myself together.
Well, we set the bar quite low when it came on that one, but we was all right.
Well, that's just unnecessarily disparaging, I think, still.
It's very good. I thought you did well in the circumstances.
Don't patronise me.
On to the gratitude list then.
Right. You're me.
You can go.
Well, I've got 3.
Oh, wow. You're very grateful this week.
Well, no, I'm feeling very grateful. And the reason I'm going to list my 3 is because obviously I had one ready for last week, but we had to postpone. And then I thought of 2 others this morning. I thought I'll just give you all of them. It's all right to be very grateful, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So the simplest one is I've experienced in the last couple of weeks a renewed joy in writing with a fountain pen.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't often write with a fountain pen, but I found a fountain pen. I thought I'll put some ink in that, see what it's like. Very enjoyable writing with a fountain pen. The second one is yesterday it was Nellie's 5th birthday. So it always makes me think how grateful I am to have dogs around. Can't imagine a life without dogs in them. And then the third one, which is also related to dogs, a couple of weeks ago, I had to drive to Scotland on one of Daisy's regular veterinary checkups. 16-hour drive for a vet checkup.
Crazy.
And driving home the following morning, there was a road closure and I was diverted across the A7. Now, I probably have driven along across the A7, which goes across the country before, but it's been many years since I did. And honestly, it is the most gorgeous route. And I felt I was full of gratitude and counting my blessings for driving across this beautiful countryside on a sunny morning. You know how sometimes you can kind of just be in a place surrounded by nature, you think, oh, isn't it great to be alive?
Yeah.
And even though I had a sort of 8-hour drive ahead of me, it was wonderful. So I thought I'd list my gratitude for an unexpected drive across the A7.
Well, that's quite an interesting one, actually. But I don't know where the A7 is. So
It runs from kind of Jedburgh in the Scottish borders right across to Carlisle in the west.
Okay.
So you're essentially going right across from, it's not really the east, it's kind of the middle of the country, right over towards the east, to the west. To the M6.
Yeah, it's not a part of the country I'm familiar with myself.
Well, get yourself familiar with it because it's bloody lovely.
Well, on your recommendation, perhaps I will get diverted there one day on purpose.
Yeah, if you ever get diverted onto the A7, then think yourself bloody lucky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, leading on from that, there, you happy to finish on that?
I am.
You are, because mine's related a little bit to Scotland. The first one. I've got,
it's bloody haggis, isn't it?
It is haggis. Because I'm always very grateful when Steve and Tracy, my friends, they have, or Steve's mum lives up in the borders, so he goes to the local butchers in Kelso and gets me a haggis and brings it back, and I cooked it yesterday, and I've had some of it. It was quite a big one, so it had to do me 2 or 3 meals, and absolutely delicious. So I'm always grateful to get one delivered direct from where they should come from.
Actually, the A7, you can get onto the A7 quite easily from Kelso.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know the area then?
Yeah, it's in the same area, yeah.
The second one, but see, yours was quite interesting because you come off the back of something where I'd imagine in the back of your mind you thought, oh no, I'm being diverted.
Yeah, I did. It's exactly what I thought.
My gratitude comes off the back of something like that because I had to take one of our residents from work up to A&E.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, A&E. I've had to do this several times in the past, and it's always ag. And this one was particularly testing because I was up there all night. I was up there for 14 hours. So I was particularly grateful when someone came along and took over from me because they were there for another 4 hours afterwards. So it would have been a long stretch. And so I was there all night. So I was grateful when someone came and eventually said, you can go home now and get some kip.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
I was grateful for that, but I was also grateful when I was in there.
Yeah.
You look for little small mercies, and when you're sitting there in A&E all night, you see all sorts of people come and go, as you can imagine. And the drunk people coming in, I was grateful I wasn't in that situation anymore, especially the ones that were arguing with the coppers and and being sick. Those little sort of polystyrene trays they bring out, those cardboard trays they bring out for people to be sick in. So I was grateful I'm not in the madness there.
Yeah,
and I was grateful there's no bomb squad turned up either to extract a World War I shell out of someone.
Well, that's a salutary tale in itself, isn't it? Don't go putting armaments up your bottom.
Your bottom, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So although I was not looking forward to the A&E experience because it's always very lengthy and very boring. I was grateful when it was over.
Yeah, and I suppose there's something, isn't there, about being in A&E with someone that kind of reminds you of the importance of gratitude that it's not you that's waiting in A&E for a treatment.
Yeah.
So there we are.
We're on to the lyric challenge.
Yeah.
So,
hang on, just get myself ready.
Are you getting yourself psyched up?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you in the zone?
I'm in the zone. Yeah.
Okay, 4 questions as always. First question, 2-pointer.
Yeah.
I had an uncle who once played for Red Star Belgrade.
Oh, I recognise this. Is this half man, half biscuit?
No.
Oh no, that's all I want for Christmas is a Dupla Prague away kit, isn't it?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. I had an uncle who once. I know this. I do know this, don't I? I do. Yeah. I do know this.
We have. Do you want any little clues?
Yeah, I do. Please, yeah.
I think the only time we saw this art, we did see this artist together at one time at Reading.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's an individual artist. It's a solo artist.
It was one of those days like this. You, me, and Adam went up there,
right?
And this person was on.
Was this person near the top of the bill?
Sort of midway-ish, really. I was always a much bigger fan than you.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know it is. Of course, I know it is. It's Billy Bragg.
It is Billy Bragg, yes.
And it's which one is it?
Here's one of his that charted.
Sexuality.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we got there.
Yeah, that's not bad. I should probably have 1 point for that, shouldn't I? Because you did give me a bit of a hand up.
Well, I think 2 is all
right. Okay, that's kind of you. That's good. I wasn't socially loafing.
You weren't.
I was giving it everything.
You were. You put your back into it.
Yeah.
You were tracking back, weren't you?
I was. Yeah.
And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow.
Okay, so this is, as we've been talking about Scotland, this is a Scottish band.
Yeah.
This is Delamitri.
It is.
And I think it's probably Nothing Ever Happens.
It is. Shoe in, son. Shoe in.
That's 4 points.
It is. Well, I had a feeling that was the sort of track that you would have listened to many times.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Like a bit of Delamitri, yeah.
Yeah. This one maybe fall into the same area as well. Things Ain't Cooking in My Kitchen.
I know this too. I can hear it. What is it? Oh, it's the same era, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Things Ain't Cooking in My Kitchen. It's so annoying, isn't it? When you know something, but sort of out of context, you can't place it.
Can you sing that line in your head? Do you know?
Well, I can't remember the tune, otherwise I'd know it. But I can remember that it's the distinction is things ain't cooking in my kitchen. Oh, I heard it then. Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer.
No.
Oh.
You thought you were in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I really thought that was it.
There was a real element of confidence in your answer.
I can hear. There's just something about the beat of it. It ain't cooking. I know this. I just know it. It's going to be so irritating.
I should have done a bit of research to tell you.
I know who it is. It's Crowded House.
It is.
And it's which one is it? Things ain't cooking in my kitchen. Strange affliction. Wash over me. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to get it. I don't think I'm going to get it.
Okay, it's probably one of their biggest hits. It's Weather With You.
Oh, bloody hell.
So it's a point for that. So you've got 5 points so far, so that's not bad.
I hate myself.
It's pretty good. So the 4-pointer then.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter about the rain because we'll get through it anyway.
This is not ringing so many bells. I think it's in there somewhere, but doesn't really matter about the rain because we'll get through it anyway. Can you give me anything?
This was the group. They're again sort of late 80s, early 90s. But I remember remember discussing with you at one time, when I was in the madness, I bought the same CD more than once. I'd forgotten I'd bought it. And I did it with this group, okay, and I don't even like them once. I don't know why I bought it once and twice.
Right. Okay.
See, they're all right. They're okay. They're very middle of the roadish sort of.
Would I like them more than you?
I don't know if you like them at all. You might do. One or two big hits that I really liked, I suppose. But
doesn't really matter about the rain. We'll get through it anyway. It does kind of ring a bell.
But they're sort of they're around about sort of late 90s as well, really, I think. Yeah, sort of late 90s.
So it's a band.
Yeah.
Quite poppy then, by the sound of it.
Yeah. They're quite big for a couple of years then. Never really heard much about them afterwards.
Female fronted?
No.
No matter about the rain. We get through it anyway. I don't think I'm going to get this. Go on. Who is it?
Yeah, it's the Lighthouse Family.
Oh,
Lifted.
Yeah.
Lifted is the name of the tune.
Yeah, I can hear it now. Yeah. No, you're right. I didn't like them at all.
You didn't like them, no.
Yeah, I remember now. You bought that album twice.
Yeah, I think I found 5 or 6 CDs that I bought twice. Yeah.
Well, something in your subconscious really likes the Lighthouse Family.
Perhaps it was, yeah. Well, I don't mind them, but no, I don't know why. But anyway.
You love them. You didn't sort of go and see them and forget that you didn't like them or anything like that?
No, I didn't go. I didn't have a Lighthouse Family T-shirt.
I went to see the Lightning Seeds once and thought they were terrible.
Did you? Yeah, not big fans. Not a big fan.
No, I mean, I wasn't that big a fan before I went to see them, but after I'd seen them, I was not a fan at all.
Ian Brody? Is it Ian Brody?
Yeah.
Lead singer.
Yeah.
So anyway, 5 points overall.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing actually after such a strong start.
It's a very strong start. It's a 4-pointer can be a real.
Yeah. Oh well, there you go. I think that's a reasonable reflection of the quality of my knowledge.
Yeah. I think you did all right on that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, right. Thanks. Good work.
Have a nice Sunday.
And you. Laters. Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.